Oh, I'm trying to figure out my off-season schedule, and do I want to do the call-ins on Wednesday after doing an hour and a half show with Grant every week, which it's a marathon. I mean, back-to-back shows. This show usually lasts an hour and a half, sometimes up to 3 hours, depending. So it's a tough decision. However, I felt like this week, after hearing the news with what's going on with Brock Purdy, it was only appropriate that I do it in a timely manner so that you can get your takes off. We can talk through that situation or any other situation that you see fit, whether it's franchise tags, it's who you want to go after in free agency, anything that is on your mind is open game. It is your night. And we're going to get to it right after the intro. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. As I said, it is open mic night. So I'm going to give you the same disclaimer this week that I gave you last week and the week before and all the other weeks. Pinned to the top of the chat is the link to call in. Do it early while there is a minimal wait, because as this thing goes, the wait gets longer and longer and longer. You have 5 minutes to get your takeoff. That is the way that we do it around here. I got a 5-minute timer, and we're going to start off this week, not with Korean 49er. We're going to start it off with Gammon. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Raphael for becoming a member. I know you were a member already, so I changed the membership up. I used to have two different options. It was $1.99. It was the field goal option. Then it was $4.99 for the touchdown option. The touchdown option was also to get like extra weekly content, film breakdown, that type of stuff. With the second channel, with this channel, with it seems like all the guest appearances that I've been going on lately and all these other things, I couldn't commit to the extra video for you guys every week. And so I felt like it was not fair to have two separate memberships if there wasn't a difference. So if you were a member and all of a sudden you're not a member, it's because you were a touchdown member. I got rid of that package, which means you'll be refunded for your last month. And if you want to become a field goal member just to support the channel as Raphael has done, then 100% I would appreciate it. That would be great. If not, I totally understand. No harm, no foul. All right, let's get to Gammon. What's up, Gammon?
Man, who says you can't find wins in the offseason? Look at me. Look at me now. Last week I was number 2.
That's true.
Can you say it? I just want to hear it just one time that I'm number 1 today. It's unbelievable.
You not only are you number 1, but this story is a story that should be near and dear to our hearts because the 49ers feel like they've been number 2 for a while. And if you stay persistent, like Gammon has, you too, San Francisco, can be number 1 at some point. So maybe this is a little foreshadowing to next season. We'll see.
Absolutely. I'm caught up in my Ricky Bobby moment, and luckily nobody can see that I have no idea what to do with my hands right now. I'm just so juiced and excited. For me, I just want to give a shout out to Trey Lance. He's been it's been a mental roller coaster. When he basically talked about it so nonchalantly, and he said, hey, I had to go see a therapist, once I found out I had to have a second surgery. Like that, just as like a human being, like, as far as like, he came in not even old enough to drink alcohol, and just think about the pressures of the world on him and his body's just failing. Both of our young quarterbacks are facing physical and mental adversity. And I'm really glad to see his swagger kind of coming back, right? That mental resiliency. And I'm sure for you, this has got to be crazy for you, because you work a full-time job, right? Is that true? You work a full-time job?
Yes, sir.
You work a full-time job, got 2 channels, you're always staying up on your social media. I mean, that's absolutely insane. Where do you find the grind within?
Dude, well, first of all, let me answer the Trey thing or comment on the Trey thing. I like that he is vulnerable enough to say that he did seek therapy. Sports therapy is a thing. Sports psychology is a big deal, and a lot of the top end athletes take advantage of it. I think when you're a young kid and you come into the league, you probably are like, I'm good. I don't need it. But I'm glad that he found that. And, therapy can be different for different people. Some seek it through God, some seek it through, another person, some deal with it on their own, whatever works for you. But I agree. I think that I'm glad that that's working for him because he definitely does seem to have his swagger back, so to speak. As far as time for me, man, I mean, I just enjoy this. So it's easy. I just don't sleep a lot. Like my kids are in bed, my wife is in bed, and so that time is when I do the shows. That's why it's always late on the East Coast. Shows are starting at 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, what have you, because that's my time where I know that I'm not taking any family time away and I can do what what uh what I love to do, which is this. So yeah, that's where I find the time.
Well, you know what? When you start looking like you've just lost like 80 pounds and everything like that, we're gonna move you away from the screen and the research. Um, I, my biggest thing is after we watch every single year, and really last off season was really the first off season where I challenged myself to really just write and study and just really put together like articles, really big, massive articles of just trains of thought. Um, that's where I came away with the feeling of we're not in so much an outside zone team. We still are a zone run team, but and everyone thinks like, oh, we're just a power gap scheme team. No, we're an inside zone team um, as well. I'm, getting off topic, my thing is what I've noticed in the off season and watching the Saints do this year after year, watching the Rams do this year after year, and the Packers somehow do this year after year with huge, ginormous quarterback contracts. The salary cap, is it really real? Because I don't really feel like it's real because you can take, right, you can give somebody this massive 3-year contract, but put 2 voidable years at the back end of it, right? Like we did that with Mac. Um, where we actually have that going on right now with Armstead. You know, I think I can't wait for, everyone's going to be kind of spinning up the PR. We can't afford, we can't sign these guys, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, because the way that Armstead's contract is written, they have to renegotiate and extend his contract before a certain date, or else all of that weight of those voidable years actually just slap into us when we can't afford it. We're going to re-sign Bosa. He's going to be cheaper than his rookie year, his first year. Re-sign Ayuk, right? We actually, by the time, and we have to re-sign Christian McCaffrey. We're going to re-sign him too. So it's going to be interesting. Everyone's going to be like, oh, now we have all this money to then just do whatever we want. And my question is, once that happens, will you be as unlikely surprised as I am and watch how the narrative changes? And two, do you think that we should spend that money on and just go ham like the Rams did, F them picks, F our salary cap? Or do you think we should let that roll over until next season? Thank you, Jesse, for your time.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Um, Man, the rollover thing is interesting because it essentially doubles up. The way it works is there's a cap in football, but whatever you saved the year prior, you get to go over the cap that much next year. So you can kind of cheat the system a little bit. This is how Cleveland was able to free up as much room as they did a couple years back to sign all the players they ended up signing. Also, go get Deshaun Watson and all that is because they had rolled over money and had essentially an extra $50 million to play with. So I do like that, but if you're in a situation where you're trying to win right now, I think you can do a little bit of both. And I was talking about this with Grant. I think the way to do it is you go get a bunch of veterans who you know can still produce, and you sign them to 1-year deals. You go get the Jadeveon Clowneys, the Houstons, the Peters. Who else is out there? I mean, whoever you can think of that's a good veteran player that you know that can play ball still, and go get those guys. Go get them. Sign them to 1-year deals. Patrick Peterson, Marcus Peters, Jadeveon Clowney, Robert Quinn, those guys. I think that's a way that you can go all in and still manage the future. So I think they're in a situation where they got to spend almost every dime every year, but you can reset that every year by just putting older guys on 1-year deals. So that's how I would go about it. I think it's a way to be aggressive, but also make sure the future stays intact. I think it's a great question. Tommy says, nice hat. Chance your boy 10 comes back. It's not 0. It's definitely not 0. I'll put it at a 15% chance, which is probably higher than what a lot of people want to hear. But I think that it's a realistic possibility. So I don't know. Yeah, is he though? Is he like, I feel to me like when you hear this, I don't want like 10 Marcus Peters by any mean. I think there's a limit, but I think the Chiefs have won some rings bringing in some questionable characters. Guys that you would look at and say are very Marcus Peters like. I mean, is Frank Clark the greatest dude? They signed Tyreek Hill off of some major controversy. It's worked out for them. You know, I don't know. Again, you don't want a locker room full of these guys, but when you have a locker room like the 49ers and you can bring in a guy or two like this and absorb it, and it's not going to do anything. It's not going to tear you apart or do anything bad to the locker room because you can absorb it. Everybody else is good. Like usually that player conforms because he doesn't have anybody that he can kind of pal around with and mess things up. So, and that's assuming that he is a bad locker room guy. I don't know that he is. I think he's extra competitive. I mean, I'm sure maybe there's a story out there you could find or what have you, but I think even if that's the case, the 49ers can absorb a player like that. Not everybody has to be squeaky clean. Like squeaky clean doesn't win you rings all the time. So I don't know. That's just my two thoughts. I mean, Sue, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Niner gang. Let's see. There's 2 of you back here. So I'm going to kick this one because this was the first one. And we're going to go with this one and hopefully you're available. What's up, Niner gang? Ooh, I can't hear you. I can't. Does your mic say it's muted? No. Go out and come back in. I'll get to someone else and then I'll come back to you. All right. We're going to go to No Border Sports. I was on with Aaron on Monday and he called Last Second Sports No Border Sports. So shout out to you for getting a free plug there when I was on with Aaron. I thought it was good. I liked it. What's up, man? How you been?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's been a while since we talked.
No doubt. I always find myself somewhere else doing something else, and I like always catch myself on a tail end. But I caught you on Grant's show, and I heard you were doing a call in, and
Perfect.
I wanted to ask you about something that you had said on Grant's show.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about it.
The trade Bosa.
Okay.
Not that I'm on any sort of a cliff. I kind of wanted to. What other teams do you think you would do that deal with? You know what I mean? Like. Other people have 2 first rounders. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kind of, not that I'd ever do it, like I said, or that I want it, but I'm just trying to think. You know what I mean? Because I like your idea of let's not do get ourselves into a Buckner thing. Let's get ourselves a guy, you know what I mean, or 2 or something like that in the trade that we can say, hey, that's manageable. Because that's what I didn't like about the Buckner trade is because you go back in trying to find the same guy. I don't think you do that. You get rid of one guy and then you find another position where that pick totally fits whatever's going on. Best play. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they had traded Buckner and got Tristan Wirfs, I don't think anybody would be mad that they traded Buckner.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it comes down to. And just I want to clear things up because things can get misconstrued. I didn't say trade Bosa. The question was, we were playing a game of Would You Rather over on Grant's channel. And the question I asked was, would you rather keep Bosa and pay him the 33 or 35 million a year that he's going to get, or if the Lions came calling right now and said, we'll give you both of our first round picks this year, which is like pick, I don't know, 7 and 18 or whatever it is, would you do that? And the kicker was, instead of drafting a player to replace Bosa, you use that money and you sign like a Yannick Ngakoue to a 3-year deal. And then you also still have the first round picks. I think it's interesting. I mean, it's not going to happen, but that's how I would do it. If I was going to do the Buckner decision right now, again with Bosa, that's how I would do it. I would get a proven player that I know is not near as good as Bosa, but I know can get after the quarterback a little bit, is young, pay him what he's worth, save the money that I'd pay Bosa, and I would take the 2 best players available in round 1. And maybe one of them does end up being a defensive end. I don't know. But I'm not going to just get another guy because I got to replace Bosa. I'm doing that through free agency, and then I'm drafting best player available with those 2 picks. That's how I would do it.
Yeah. And because then, it's less of a chance that you mess it up. It's less of a stress on that new rookie coming in who has to be the new Nick Bosa for the San Francisco 49ers.
Right.
It's just unrealistic. And that's probably another thing poor Javon had to, deal with, not only his own body, but the DeForest Buckner shadow. Yeah. Also, Brock Purdy, they pushed back his surgery. I haven't gotten your thoughts on this. Do you think he's playing next year? Because this is the way I see it. He wasn't able to throw the ball whatsoever after the injury, right? So if he just needs a brace, don't you think he'd be able to do a little something? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that bad. And then fast forward to today or yesterday, where they can't operate today because it's too swollen. Not enough room for them to do work. And that just means that it's probably more messed up than the leading doctor who deals with all these things. And to me, that just screams he's going to need the whole thing redone, and it's next year.
Yeah, oh man. I want him to play this year, or at least be available to play. The one thing that I'm optimistic about is that they still said they believe that the brace is the way to go. However, once you get in there, things could change. No doubt about that. I don't want them to go spend a bunch of money on another quarterback to be the backup to Trey Lance.
Who's they that says the brace is the best way to go? Is it Tom Pelissero? Are we still talking about what was said?
Well, Pelissero did say that they believe that that's what they still are looking at, the internal brace option.
So Tom Pelissero, to me, he's just talking for the team at that point. That's just like coming straight from Kyle and what Kyle wants everybody. You know what I mean? And they might even be trying to influence Purdy through that type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, Purdy's on the other end going, I might not be doing that, what you're thinking, but you're telling everybody, what's this? You know what I mean? Like, I think
funny story, about 2 weeks ago, and I knew there would be about a 0% chance, but just maybe I'd get lucky. I reached out to the surgeon and to see if I can get an interview. Politely declined, and I understand why, but it was worth a shot. It would have been nice to get an interview with this actual surgeon who's doing it.
No doubt.
I was going to keep it more generic and not necessarily, hey, what are you doing with Purdy? Because I know that, confidential, but just like, what do these surgeries entail? What makes you decide one over the other, that type of stuff. But, politely declined. That's fine. Like I said, I expected it, but I tried. I did try for y'all. I tried to get the surgeon, but it did not work. Did not work.
That would have been amazing, and it would have been a great understanding to kind of help us understand things. Because
Yeah.
I had some background in, well, I was a student athletic trainer in high school, so I got like a little bit in the field, like barely any, but there's a lot going on, and that's why when everybody when somebody who knows that much in the field all of a sudden has to push back the date because what the time he diagnosed to be ready for wasn't ready, then that shows that this is something different and or worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's I can't imagine it's a good thing. They're obviously spinning it like it's no big deal. He'll be fine. Just a couple more weeks. But I feel like every day at this point matters so much. That's just me.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I'll make room for other people.
All right. Sounds good. It was good talking to you, bud.
Yeah, man. Yeah, take it easy. Have a wonderful day.
All right, later. Gammon, how will you celebrate 10K? I'll probably just put out a thank you to the community in the community tab and say I appreciate it and keep it pushing. I don't know. I mean, the one thing I will say, the actual big milestone with 10K, twofold. One, the stat I looked up is only 1.7% of content creators ever get to 10,000. So that'd be a cool milestone. But also, if you remember, there was a couple times throughout the season I did a charity stream, which was a great hit both times. I think we did a really good job on both of those. However, it was a little bit shoddy because I had to just put the link directly at the top of the chat for everybody to donate like straight to the charity. Because obviously I don't want the money to go to me and then, whatever. So, but when you have 10,000, you can do it through YouTube. So as soon as you enter, instead of like super chatting me, like a lot of people were doing, it's a charity stream and it's right there. You just click on it, you donate, you do all that. So at 10,000, I'll be able to do that. So that'll actually be helpful when we do charity streams next season. So, no, that's not happening. That is not. I don't know if you know this, but I'm married. It's a little inside joke with Grant and I. So yeah, that's not happening. All right, Niner gang, let's try again, brother. Niner gang. Oh, you were just there. Now you're like frozen again. Ooh, you know what? I bet you he is calling in from. Oh, hold on. Let's see if this works now. What's up, man? Niner gang.
You got me, Jesse?
Yes, I do got you.
This internet stuff, boy, it's killing me, man. I'm sitting like 3 feet away from the router, bro.
Yeah. I know. I feel the pain.
It's rough, man, but we made it. It's all good. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. Hell, Grant, I just did a show with Grant and his internet went out to start the show. So it happens to everybody.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and catch that one. I missed that one. I was watching Grant earlier today, man. Some stuff he said and whatnot. But man, we keep talking about this win now ready team, right? I keep hearing that everywhere. I've even said it a few times, we're win now ready.
Uh-oh. Did we lose him? No, hold on.
Oh no, man.
You're good. Okay, you're back again. Go ahead.
Right.
Let's try it again.
All
win
right.
now ready. You said win now ready. Even you said it. That's where we got.
Yep. Then I was blinded by the light. It's great quarterbacks, went on a winning streak, blah blah blah. But man, we're in trouble this offseason, buddy. We're in trouble. We got an O-line, D-line that's both depleted. We don't know what we're doing there. We got a quarterback. I believe in Trey Lance. I jumped up and down when we drafted him. I was excited for that, but truth of the matter is we don't know good or bad. So we don't know what our quarterback situation is. So I don't know what we're going to do this offseason coming up, man. I really don't see any solution coming from Kyle based off of what him and John Lynch said, at their final conference or their little meeting they had at the end of the season. They didn't seem too concerned. You know, is he holding his card, not showing his hand, or they really not concerned? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think in that moment they probably weren't concerned. I would say they got to be a little concerned now. You know, the good news is that they're going to know before free agency starts. That's the good news. Okay, and they're not trying to trade him like they were with Jimmy Garoppolo. So it's not ideal, but if they meet, let's say, I don't know, the 7th of March or whatever the date is, and it's still swollen and they got to push another 2 weeks. So now free agency started and he still hasn't had surgery, then you know that you got to go get another quarterback. You have to. There's no other option. So they're going to know if he has surgery and it's the internal brace. I imagine they're probably going to feel similar to what they felt at the press conference, which is not super worried, not ideal, but not like panic mode. If the surgery is after free agency, then they got to be in a little bit of panic mode, I would think.
I think they got to be in somewhat panic. Well, I'm not saying go out and try to get an Aaron Rodgers or a big type name guy, because I don't think that's the answer myself. I think they need to go get somebody, a veteran of some sort, not going to cost a whole lot, just to support. We have a young quarterback room, really young quarterback room. Yeah, you learn a lot on the bench. I have no doubt in Trey that he's not a smart guy. Brock Purdy as well. But there's more to it than just sitting on the bench and playing. And we all seen that with Brock Purdy. He came out on fire. But in all honesty, as the season progressed, he kind of downgraded a little bit, wasn't as precise as he was in the beginning. We seen the rookie in him, you know. So I think Kyle needs to go get him a quarterback that can support that young locker room, help pick them up when they're down, because we're going to have some down moments. Trust that. You know, our team's going to change drastically. And then, you know, back to the big things. Looks like Trey's going to be the starter. Is Kittle going to support him? Trent Williams going to pick him up this time when he's on the ground? I mean, where are we at with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting scenario because it's like the kid that they keep writing off is where their season now lies. There it seems to be, at least in the beginning. So you better figure out how to get behind him as quickly as possible, whether you want him to be the guy or not. Kind of, you don't have a choice at this point, it doesn't seem, at least not to start the season. So they got to figure it out, man. They got to figure it out. So for me, I mean, that's a big thing. The locker room. They've already said, you know, Purdy's our guy. We want Purdy to be the guy. If it's not Purdy, we'll be upset. But if Purdy's not an option, then can you really be upset? And how do you get behind Trey? That's what they got to figure out.
Exactly. And that starts at the top with Kyle. You know, he needs to go in there. You know, there is a degree of respect you want to maintain with your players, but at some point, you know, if you have to put your foot down, you got to put your foot down. You know, and he should have did that last year.
Yeah.
You know, protect them a little bit better. I mean, I hate to say it, but just from what I seen throughout the games, from when Trey started to when Jimmy came out, that it just seemed like there was a little more effort from everybody around them on the supporting cast. You know, just a little bit more effort, a little more pep in their step. You know, a little bit more there than what they had when Trey was there. You know, and it's just like sad to say he's 22, 23 years old. I mean, kid
He's younger than Brock.
Yeah, he's got so much potential. I mean, so much potential, and there's only one way to find out, man. Let him play, you know. But fan base and the locker room veterans are not going to go for if he comes out and loses 2 games in a row. Oh, buddy, it's a wrap.
Yeah,
it's going to be
which is funny.
One.
Which is funny because Jimmy Garoppolo lost for a month straight, and everybody was fine with that because it was win now mode. But if Trey loses 2 straight, heaven forbid, for a team that started 3-5 and 4-4, we know that starts slow. Of course, I mean he'll never hear the end of it. So I don't know. We'll see.
And last but not least, man, and I just got this wild idea because I wasn't excited to begin with about it, is Debo.
Okay.
He had his one phenomenal season. Don't get me wrong. Caught the league by surprise. Threw his little fit. You know what I mean? Handled his bit. I'm not knocking the guy for wanting to get paid. All
No, definitely
entitled
not.
to have at it. Get all the money you can get. Way he went about it was wrong. You know, and stuff like that. And then he comes back the way he just approached it. I mean, he's going for this big contract. I thought he was going to come in top shape mode, ready to go. I'm going to show these guys type thing, but it was complete opposite. And I don't see him having a season like that ever again. I really don't. He's declined in every area. Okay. I mean, in every area, unless he really, really puts the work in this off season and tries to get back. I mean, it's possible. It's very doable. But now we're on the hook for what, 70 million, 80 million for 3 years with this guy, you know, and I'm like, you know what, let's get rid of this guy while somebody wants him. Get us some top, you know, draft picks back. Let's go get some young guys in the room. Look what, for example, Kansas City, what they did with Tyreek Hill. No one in a million years probably would have thought that was ever going to happen.
No.
They didn't miss a lick. They actually got better on offense. Their
Yeah,
numbers,
that's kind of crazy.
It's mind-blowing, but starts at the top. Got a great coach, right?
Yeah.
So they can only do what they can do, Jess, you know, and that's just that.
Yeah, the problem is that if you were going to trade Debo, the time would have been last season because you weren't on the hook. You weren't going to have to eat any of that salary. It was just trade him, get your picks, and move on. Now you have to wait till after June 1st, which means you're going to have to do it for players, not for picks. Because if you trade them before June 1st, the cap hit's astronomical. It's not even feasible. So you can do it, but it'd have to be after June 1st. And it would have, I mean, at that point, it's going to have to be for players unless you're good with future draft picks. So I feel like the ship's kind of sailed on that one. But
Makes
especially
sense.
now, I bet you that if the 49ers knew, they had a crystal ball and they knew that they were going to get CMC, that they would have traded Debo last offseason.
I would have to agree with you on that because Christian, the only thing I liked the trade, not gonna lie, I loved the trade. I liked it. But once again, I think I'm just got a little bit of PTSD with Niners about this is injuries. You know, I was like, man, this poor kid, you know, he was good first couple of years, Carolina. Then he got a little banged up, didn't have, you know, 2 good seasons. But he came to the Niners, and then I seen the way Kyle was using him. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
You know, and thank the good Lord, knock on wood, he made it through healthy, and you know, hope to see him back again next year doing the same thing. But man, I would like to see Jordan Mason and even TDP, you know, I mean, we spent the picks on him. Let's use them.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, preserve them until the playoffs or that late season stretch. I agree with you. I'm 100% on board with you.
I mean, you just get, when you got Christian on the field, you can line him up anywhere. You can do anything you want with him, and he's productive at it. He's always going to attract attention. And, you know, you just say, like you said, and I agree with you, you know, we're stuck with Debo now. You know, we got him. You get him on the field, line him up. You can do whatever you want with him. Most people, if he's on the field and Jordan Mason or TDP's on the field, reality, 70% chance the ball is going to somebody else besides those backs. You know, there's ways they can scheme it up. But Kyle, he got this one track mind. You know, he calls it the hot hand. Feed the hot hand, feed the hot hand. Like, bro, you're gonna break the hot hand. You know, the stove's gonna boil over, it overheats.
When a player's that good, they're always gonna be the hot hand. Like, it's okay. You can go away from them. They'll still be hot when you get back to them, I promise.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And Niners have so much talent everywhere, and Kyle just miss you. I mean, good Lord. I mean, I could only imagine what Andy Reid would do if he had the players we had. I mean, just goodness gracious. It would be something spectacular. Imagine Bill Belichick. I mean, when him and Brady were together, Brady would every game consistently hit 7 to 10 different targets, you know, for the good majority of his season throughout his career. He never had real consistency other than, you know, he had Gronk for a long period of time. He had Julian Edelman for a little bit of time, but he had a steady flow of receivers, and look what they did. Not saying we have a Tom Brady, but you know.
That's the problem is we don't have a Mahomes or a Brady, but those guys knew how to go get their Mahomes and Brady, and the 49ers going into year 7 haven't figured that out, and that's a big deal.
At all. How many times a day do you think Kyle regrets not picking Mahomes?
Oh, every day, probably. Every day.
Goodness. It would be crazy not to. Oh my goodness. But yeah, man, I don't know what to think about this offseason. I'm a little skeptical about next season. There's a lot of question marks as far as I'm concerned, position wise and coaching. I mean, we had a drastic change in our coaching staff as well. That's a big part.
Yeah, but
too.
not as big as last year. Last year, you remember, they lost a lot of people now. A lot. I mean, there was a ton of turnover. This year, it's been minimal. I mean, obviously losing a coordinator is a big deal, but I feel like they did a great job in bringing in a perfect fit. But they kept most of their pieces. I mean, they replaced Slowick with Kubiak. I think that's an upgrade. So I think they're okay. Coaching staff wise,
right.
they'll be okay. It'll be fine.
Well, that's a good sign. That's a little. Maybe I could take that off my little board here.
Yeah. Go look at last year's coaching staff changes, and then you'll remember, like, oh yeah, it was bad. They lost their offensive coordinator. They lost like every offensive piece. Their quarterback coach. I mean, they lost a ton last year, and
it showed.
It did show early on. It definitely showed. Yes, for sure. So, all right, bro. You have a good one. Thanks for calling in again. Just in time. See, his internet said he had enough, and it was over. It was over. All right, John G, I'm coming to you in a second, bud. Let me get through these some of these chats here. And whoever was waiting behind John G just dropped out. So it's just John G. If you want to get in, now's your time. What? It says who? Come on, Robert. No way. Trash? I mean, how many quarterbacks are for sure better than Lamar right now? Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I mean, Burrow, Herbert. I mean, I feel like he's in that tier with those guys. I don't know. A lot of people are bigger on Burrow than I am, to be fair. But like Burrow, Herbert, Lamar, like I feel like that's a tier. That's a fair tier. It's like Mahomes, Josh Allen, and then the next tier. And I feel like Lamar's in that next tier. That's just me. He's hurt. He's been injured, but he doesn't suck. It's pretty damn good, I think. Don't be. I'll just leave it at that. Don't be. He's fine. Trust me, he's fine. Yeah. I mean, like, if the thought process is we can't play Trey because we won't go 13-4, okay. So they go 10-7 or 11-6 and still make the playoffs. If you're not the number one seed, it doesn't matter anyway. They weren't the number one seed. If you're not the number one seed, it's all the same for the most part. So whatever. All right, John G, coming to you.
Hello?
What's up, man?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, I
All
can.
right. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Really good. How you been?
I'm chilling. Today's my Sunday, so I'm just trying to relax before I got to go work tomorrow.
Do you work retail?
No,
waiter?
I'm a food service worker.
Okay, yeah, same difference.
Yeah.
There is no weekends. Like,
Nope.
so yeah, I get it.
So anyways, I'll just start off with the whole Kubiak thing. I do think he was a good signing for the Niners, but since he's part of like that Shanahan kind of tree, right? They're close, aren't they? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, Kubiak. So you have to remember that Kubiak's dad is basically where Shanahan grew up. He had some like intern stuff with the Bucks and Gruden, but then he got like real positions with the Texans. And his first time being offensive coordinator was under Kubiak. So yeah, there's definitely some connection there.
Okay, so this is just a thought. So you know how Kyle has a pass game and a run game coordinator? I just would think it'd be interesting to see if he trusts the Kubiaks that much, if Clint will just be the OC to take some of that stress off of Kyle, which I don't really think is likely because Kyle's kind of a control freak, but
It's not gonna
Like, I don't
it's not
know.
gonna happen. Now
Like, does Andy Reid
here's the
still-
hope though. Here's the hope. Where Kyle could use some help is like the quality control stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, now's the time that we should go for it on 4th down.
Mhm.
Now's the time that we should call a timeout. Now's the time that we should chew clock. That type of stuff.
Yeah. I
Help
kind
him
of
manage
thought
that type of stuff.
Anthony Lynn was going to be that this year since he was a head coach, but I didn't see that at all.
No, you're right about that.
But
you're right about that.
Yeah, the other thing, the first caller I listened to kind of beat me to it, but about Brock Purdy surgery, his surgery being pushed back. Do you think it's going to be realistic for him to be back by training camp?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No,
I didn't think so either.
I didn't think it was realistic for him to be back for the beginning of training camp when surgery was supposed to be what is it, today? Yesterday?
Yeah, today.
Yeah, today.
Right?
Okay, yeah. So when the surgery was supposed to be today, I didn't think it was realistic. And people were like, oh, you blah, 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 like timelines. You don't, you're not a doctor. I'm like, okay, but you keep saying 6 months but you're telling me he's ready in 5 months. So
yeah,
the math isn't mathing. So now that you're going to give it an extra 2 weeks, I don't know. I don't think so.
And this could be a good opportunity for Trey Lance. Obviously, it sucks that Brock's hurt as much as, he's done for the time he's been the starting quarterback. And I've heard you say this a lot before. They've invested so much draft capital in him. They would be like absolutely insane just to play him for or to sit him for Tyler Heineke or someone if Brock's not ready for the start of the season.
No, I mean, if you can't go get Aaron Rodgers, I mean, anything short of like Rodgers or Lamar, then you just gotta roll with Trey. I mean, it's weird that people feel uncomfortable going with a guy that they invested so much capital.
No, man, it's kind of irritating. I'm not gonna lie.
It's extremely irritating. It makes zero sense.
Oh.
But I mean, don't you also get the feeling that the team kind of feels that way too?
Feels what exactly? Sorry.
Feels like they're not comfortable.
The team feels
even
like
though they invested so much into him.
Yeah, I mean, it showed when they were on the field. Like week 1 in Chicago, no one was picking Trey up, and I was like, dude, that's your teammate. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's just me. Hold on, Robert. Let's talk about this Lamar thing real quick. John G, do you think Lamar's a top 10 quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that he, I guess, can work on, but he's not trash like you were saying earlier. I was waiting in the queue over here, and I read that. I'm like, what? This guy can't be serious right now.
I don't think that 39-year-old Rodgers is on a whole different stratosphere than Lamar Jackson. At all.
When he's tripping.
They're very different players. They're definitely different players.
Oh, yeah.
But there is no way that you can, in good conscience, tell me that Lamar is not a top 10 quarterback.
Who does he have, for a receiver, too? Like,
nobody.
Like, I bet you if you put one good wide receiver and he has Mark Andrews, so he already has a good tight end, and just give him another sure-handed wide receiver, and I think he'll be great.
If they traded Debo there last year, could you imagine Mark Andrews, Debo, and
that's
Lamar
scary.
Jackson?
I don't want to think about that.
Come on, that would have been insane. That would have been insane.
So for quarterback free agents, right? Like, who would you think the Niners would go after if they decide to go that route? Because I don't think they're going to get any of the big names. They got Bosa to sign, not unless they trade him for someone.
No, they shouldn't. They're not. They're not. Well, there's a bunch of guys that I think are realistic. I don't know if they're going to go after them.
Yeah.
But some realistic guys would be like Heineke.
That's what I was thinking too.
I think Heineke would be perfect. I feel like he can do everything that Purdy just did.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe
he's just an older version of Purdy, in my opinion.
Right.
He's kind of like, I don't know. When I was thinking about it, like if they really were to go that route, I feel like Taylor Heineke would be the most realistic option for them to go after.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to get Heineke. I feel like the drop off would be minimal
for sure.
So yeah, I would love to get Heineke. Grant was talking about, who did he say? Mariota. I wouldn't mind getting Mariota.
Yeah, he's a good Oregon Duck.
Yeah. I mean, a little nostalgia there. I'll take it. He said Winston. I'm not big on Jameis Winston. That's just me personally.
I would
like
Jameis just to see him like be his goofy self, but not to be on like the field playing quarterback.
Yeah. Gammon says Dalton or Garoppolo for content. I'll take Dalton.
I'll take
for
Dalton.
Sure. Yes. Dalton played pretty good at times this year. I'll take Dalton.
Wasn't that those were one of the names floating around last year too, right? To replace Jimmy for Trey, like to have a backup for Trey.
Yes. I'll take Andy Dalton. Yeah. So I think there's options out there. I don't know if I trust the 49ers to actually
do the right thing
after those guys.
Oh man.
I don't know.
But yeah, I didn't have much to say. I just wanted to talk about those few things because I had like a whole like list in my head, and then caller after caller went on. I'm like, well, that was already talked about. Like, it's hard for me to be like, okay, this is what I should talk about next.
I feel it. Hey, no big deal. No big deal. I mean, this stream's gonna go quick anyways because nobody else is calling in. So I'm gonna probably play some Would You Rather with the chat and then end it unless somebody else calls in. So,
can I play Would You Rather?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So it's gonna be. I don't know if you saw it on Grant's show, but a lot of people didn't. Okay, perfect. So, all right, I got 4 Would You Rather questions.
All right.
First one is, would you rather sign McGlinchey to $15 million a year or play McKivitz right tackle?
Oh, God. You said 15?
$15 million a year, yep.
I'm going to say McKivitz. Just because I've personally seen enough of Mike McGlinchey, in my opinion. And if that 15 million can also go to other positions, I think, like interior defensive lineman.
I'm with you. I'm with you. McGlinchey's better than McKivitz, but I don't know if he's like, if you sign McKivitz gonna be like what, $3-4 million?
Yeah. So, do you think the drop off's really gonna be that big from McGlinchey to McKivitz?
Not like $12 million a year. No way. And McGlinchey, I think, is going to get anywhere from 14 to 16. So 15 is like right in that middle point.
I'm curious to see by who.
I don't know. Bears, maybe. Bears have a ton of money.
Yeah, they do.
Ton of money. So I don't know. Somebody's going to pay him though. It'll be somebody. Okay.
Niners. Fingers crossed.
Here's the next one. Would you rather have the 10 or so picks the 49ers have now and not trade a single one? You just keep all of them right where they're at. So you're basically, 3 compensatory picks in round 3, but that's really kind of round 4. Or trade all your picks and you get a first round pick. What would you rather do?
Keep all the picks they have now, just because I don't have faith in the organization to pick. They just have one. They just have one. Yeah, no. And they've been hitting on so many late round picks too. And they can also develop those late round picks too, which they've done pretty well these past few seasons. So I'd just go with the picks that they have now.
Okay.
Even if they're later.
I agree completely. I mean, you're taking a flyer on the one. Now, the likelihood of them panning out, first round picks do pan out at a lot higher rate, but you've got 10 lottery tickets essentially. Yeah. As long as you hit on one, then it was worth it. So
who would you pick in the first round if you were to?
I don't even know. I honestly haven't even put any thought into it because We don't have a pick.
Yeah,
a pick.
I haven't
You know what I
either. I was just wondering if you did.
No, I don't have anybody that I would for sure take. No. Yeah. Okay. Next one is pay Bosa $33+ million a year,
Dang.
or trade him right now to the Detroit Lions for both of their first round picks in this year's draft, which is like I think it's like 9 and 18 or 7 and 18 or something like that.
Okay, so for this one, it's going to be very unpopular. I feel I would trade Bosa for those 2 picks just because of Chris Kasarik, and I believe that he would be able to develop defensive linemen to be able to fill that void. Although Bosa is very, very good, he's my favorite player on the Niners right now. But I would trust Chris Kasarik.
Okay. Well, Jason, I mean, you're Detroit guy. So would you I'm asking you in the chat, would you take Bosa for both those first round picks out of curiosity? Here's the kicker for me. The 49ers, if they do what they did with Buckner, where they try to replace Bosa in the draft, I'm not for it because I don't know who's out there. However, if they take that money that they were gonna pay Bosa, which this year Bosa is gonna be around like 17 million or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So if they take that money and they say, hey, we're gonna go sign Yannick Ngakoue to a 3-year deal at 17 million a year, and then we're gonna take those draft picks and draft best player available. And maybe it's a defensive end, maybe it's not, but whatever it is, then I'll listen. But I'm not doing it just for the picks. I also got to know that we're signing a proven veteran that's not on Bosa's level, but somebody that I know can get the job
but can
done,
produce. Yeah.
Because I can't just rely on those picks. So
that was a good one.
Yeah, that one. It's tough, right? I mean, because you say 2 first-round picks, and first-round picks are like future first-round picks. Okay, I mean, there's excitement there, but it's the future. But when I say I got 2 in this draft,
2 now.
Yeah. That's where things get interesting. So it looks like the chat's saying they'd pay Bosa, which I expect. I mean,
yeah,
Bosa, I get it.
It is.
But man, that's tough to pass on. What did Jason say? Oh no, he said no. I'm kidding. Okay. Well, we even have a Panthers content creator in here. What's up, Q? I assume that's Q.
Speaking of Panthers, didn't they want to get who's their lineman they wanted to get? If it wasn't Christian McCaffrey, there is a name, I forgot it. Burks?
Yeah, we wanted to get?
I saw it floating around. I wasn't sure if that the Niners.
Oh, a lot of people want to get Brian Burns from them, which is not going to happen.
Well, we didn't think that we were going to get CMC from them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I will say this, CMC, it's funny because I went back and I was skimming through shows last year around this time just to see what we were talking about. And one of the shows right around this time, we were talking about CMC trade rumors during the offseason last year. So it wasn't as new as what we had originally maybe remembered it being. It was actually a conversation during last offseason, which I didn't remember that. So yeah. I mean, it's kind of been there for a while.
Yeah. One more?
Yeah, I do. Q says we're keeping Burns. Of course you guys are. No doubt about it. I didn't expect otherwise. Edgardo says, can we stop with this team ready to win now? You think Philly cared? No, they played Jalen. Whoever is here. Super Bowl. Yeah, listen, man. It's hard to be ready to win now when you don't have the quarterback position figured out. No. So I agree. And it's not like Gammon, you really think 38.5? Damn. I don't know. Way. No. I'm for sure trading Bosa for 2 first-round picks in this draft if it's 38.5. Now it's no question.
I think the highest he'll probably get is 30.
Oh, that's so much money. No way. He did
That he did come out saying that he didn't want to be necessarily the highest defensive player. Was that where you're going?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
but
off,
I
man.
don't know. You say that, but here we go. Okay. Last one is would you rather trade Trey Lance, or if you keep Trey Lance, you have to bring back Jimmy Garoppolo?
Trade Trey Lance or keep him and keep Jimmy?
Yep.
Dude, what
I
are
know.
these?
I know.
Trade
I
Trey.
feel it. You're what?
Trade Trey.
I know. That's what I said. That's what I said. I said the same thing. I said the same thing. I love you, Trey, but I can't. I can't sit through another season
And
of Jimmy
I
Garoppolo.
don't
No way.
hate Jimmy. It's just after watching him make the same mistakes for like 5 or so years, it kind of starts to get a little irritating. You're like, dude, you're sitting behind Tom Brady for however long. Did you not learn anything?
I know. That one's hard. I thought that one was funny.
Now I like feel like when you and Grant are playing the over under game, because like when I feel like as viewers, when you're watching it, you're like, oh, that's a no brainer. But when you're asked about it on the spot, it's so much harder. Like that's such
way
a
harder.
rude wake up call that I just received right now.
Yeah, it's way harder. I agree. And you know how many times like I thought that I had it figured out, and then I changed my mind because Grant would say one thing. I'm like, well, I got to be opposite, so I'm going to go the opposite way. It bit me in the butt way too many times.
Did he come back and beat you or tie you?
No, I still won by about, I think, 2 weeks when it was all said and done, but he made it way closer than it needed to be. I started out like winning 7 of the first 8 weeks or something crazy,
I know.
and then I couldn't win after that.
Destroying that man.
Yeah. It got ugly. Luckily, I got a lot of ties, so that worked. That worked in my favor. So, all right, John G. Listen, thanks for playing the over/under game with me. I appreciate it. It was much better that way to talk to somebody to get a real answer, and then the chat played as well. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. I got a question. Is it okay with you if I clip that section out and post it on my channel? If you don't want me to, that's okay.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
All right.
I can if you email me, I can send you the full stream and make it easier for you, unless you have a way to download YouTube videos.
No, not really.
Because otherwise the quality is going to be really crappy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll shoot me an email. If you go to the description of the channel, my email's in there, and then I'll forward you the show so you can clip it and do what you want with it.
All right, awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course, man. Later.
That
was fun. That was pretty fun. You guys are saying no on Bosa, huh? You wouldn't do it? 2 first-round picks? I'm just saying. Yeah, see, I feel like you could be an honorary 49er fan, Q, because, I mean, we can't do another year of Jimmy. I don't even know. I don't even know if Jimmy has any fans strong enough to say that they would want to see Jimmy for another year. Mike says pay Bosa, draft Caleb Murphy. Murphy's going to go pretty early, right? I mean, well before where? I mean, Murphy's like I don't know. Actually, hold on. No. Caleb Murphy, I'm getting him mixed up. Caleb Murphy, is he the Division II sack leader guy? He won't go way early. Yeah, never mind. Caleb Murphy should be there. I was thinking of somebody else. There's the cat for Iowa State, believe it or not, that everybody's loving. Yeah, Caleb Murphy should be there later. Mike, yes. Yeah, okay. So he was the Division II sack leader, 25.5 sacks, broke a record. He was rather thin, but he's put on like 30 pounds in the offseason already, and it doesn't look like bad weight. He's not like jacked by any means, but he's definitely put on the weight. And when you saw him in the East-West Shrine Bowl or North South or whatever it is. Whatever. I think it was North and South. Maybe it's East West. I don't know. Either way, whatever Shrine Bowl he played in, he actually looked like that fit his frame pretty well. I'll take a flyer on him, man. I mean, 25.5 sacks, 25.5 sacks. Yes, it's it. Division II and what have you, but listen, you got to take a chance on it. And with one of those late picks, if they can, I'm with it, man. I am definitely with it. We're not going to franchise tag anybody. If they franchise tagged anyone, then it would be probably Robbie Gould, but I don't think so. Not in the description of the video, John G. It's going to be, if you go to my YouTube channel, here, I'll do it with you just so that I can lead you in the right direction here. So if you go to the YouTube channel and you scroll all the way over to about, it'll say description, and you scroll down, my email address is in there. It'll say business inquiries. It's contact Jesse LSS@gmail.com. And Jesse is IE. So there you go. You can email me there and I'll forward it off to you. I don't think that they franchise tag anybody though. Okay, there's one. There's one. Bosa can go. Okay, I got it. Okay, closet fan. That's fair. You should be a closet fan. We do have CMC. Lotha says restructure Armstead's contract. They can free up good money doing it. I'm always leery when you restructure a guy over 30. That's just me. Because you're guaranteed to keep them probably longer than you should. And even if you get rid of them, you're going to pay them. I don't know. Gammon says he's back for round 2. He's got something to say real quick. So let me see what he says. What's up, Gammon?
Not too much, brother. So I wanted to defend my position. So so the reason, big thing was I was off by 500,000 on when I was estimating what Debo's contract was going to be.
Okay.
And then that's there on YouTube history right there, Eric Crocker's videos and stuff like that. But I was pretty clean on that. The reason why I'm saying 38.5, right, is
Okay.
I'm going with number one, history, with the way that the 49ers front office just has a absolute penchant for just making sure and embellishing the egos of their players, which they do. They play, lights out. How many record-setting contracts have they done at various positions, right? Like every offseason, it is just an absolute, breaking of a contract. But the other thing too is these contracts are not supposed to feel good. They're not supposed to be pleasant, right? It's going to hurt. A lot of people, when Patrick Mahomes signed his $50 million a year contract, and was like, "Holy cow, you can't do that." Well, look, in a couple years, all this, expansion with all the new budget and money that's coming in, right? If you're going to hammer out one of these big contracts, you want to do that now. You want to knock that all out. Yeah, we have to restructure Armstead's contract because of his voidable years. If we don't restructure his contract at a certain point, what happens is those 2 voidable years, all that money slinks forward, and then we have to pay that right then and there. But as far as I was saying actually last offseason, because there was talks about us restructuring Debo and Bosa's contract. That didn't happen for Bosa. Bosa wants his money. Bosa deserves his money. And I was saying last offseason, I was thinking that he was going to get 33 million. That was before he got, remember, now they messed around.
Defensive
they did a
player
great
of the
job.
year.
Yeah, they did a great job with getting Greenlaw re-signed. But now you messed around, and now this guy just got, defensive player of the year at a position that's one of the most costly, probably to left tackle or quarterback. So yeah, I mean, for me, I'm going to stand on that one and say, I know a lot of people don't like it, but you have to think of a number that just makes you just and it hurts. And that's what his agent is going to ask for him. And I mean, only a few years in the league, and he's going to get it. He's going to get it. But also,
I
too,
guess
think
what
with
really
budget-
matters is like we all pay attention to like the annual salary.
right?
It's the guaranteed money. That's really what it comes down to. What's the
Boom.
guaranteed money? How
That's
many
it.
years is it really before you have an out
Right.
and you can restructure and do it? You know what I mean? So I guess it's not that crazy to say that the annual could be that.
Right.
I still feel like it's a little high, but sometimes you fluff the numbers and it looks crazy and it's really not that crazy behind the scenes. So I see where you're going.
Like
with
Trent
that.
Williams'
That's fair.
contract. Like Trent
Who?
Williams'
Trent Williams?
contract.
Yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing: the 49ers could sign me for $100 million this offseason, but if I never touch the field and I don't make it to June 1st, it really didn't matter if there was no guarantees in the structure of
Right.
that. So, but that
Yeah.
was pretty much what I wanted to say right there. And thank you for your time, Jesse. But yeah, the market is going up. There's a lot more funding going into the NFL. It sounds like a crazy number. I'm so old. I remember when Kevin Garnett got $100 million for 10 years. I was like, who does this guy think he is getting this $100 million for 10 years? Now it's like, that's nothing. Baseball players get that in a season. So
It's crazy.
but
So
it is.
insane.
But that's what we live in. Thank you, Jesse.
All right, bro. No, I mean you listen, when you lay it out like that, it's not that crazy. I still think it's a little high, and we'll see. But you'll definitely get a pat on the back if you're right. Or even if you're within $1 million, I'll give you a pat on the back. Would I trade Brock? I got to know the circumstances. Like, I'm not going to just like trade Brock to trade him. If in a would you rather scenario, give me the other half of the scenario. Would you rather trade Brock, or what is the other half? And I'll answer the question. But I got to know what I'm like trading him for. I got to know what the other option is. I can't just like trade Brock to trade him. So, do you agree? Trade Lance to the Colts. Let Shane develop him instead of keep. Okay, so funny you say this. On my second channel, I made a video saying that if I'm the Colts, I'm trading the 4th overall pick. I'm offering the 4th overall pick and a second rounder to the Bears for Justin Fields if they are considering drafting a quarterback with that first pick, the Bears. If the Bears say no, would turn around and offer something for Trey Lance. Because, and I know the 4th pick overall is probably not realistic, but it might be in a crazy roundabout way. And hear me out for a second. The question you have to ask yourself, we know that most likely the quarterbacks that you're choosing from at 4 are not the top 2 guys. You're looking at probably Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. Those are the 2. And so you've got to decide, is Trey Lance, if he was in this draft, we were starting over, Trey Lance coming off the season he had in college was in this draft right now, which is feasible, actually, his age, he actually could be in this draft. If he was in this draft, is he a better prospect than Richardson and Levis? I mean, to me, I don't think it's close. I think he's a way better prospect than those guys are. That's just me. So that's what, I mean, I'm looking at Shane Steichen and what he did with Hurts. If I'm him, if I can get Fields for the 4th pick and a second rounder, or if I can go to the 49ers and offer them a second this year and a second next year, maybe even a third or something, and get Trey Lance, yes. And then I also get to keep the 4th pick and draft somebody else. I think he would do wonders with Trey Lance. So, but I think that's a move that the 49ers probably would prefer to stay away from because they're putting Trey in a really good situation. If he succeeds, you look so stupid. So stupid. And I think Shane Steichen's a guy that, let's not forget that Shane Steichen spent many years around Phillip Rivers. He worked with Justin Herbert. Then he helped develop Hurts. You give him somebody like Trey Lance, I bet you they get the best out of Trey Lance that you can get. That's not a good scenario for the 49ers. Just not a good scenario. So, yeah, I hear you. I did a better job this week of that. All right. I did a better job. All right. Let's see what Jagwayo's got to say. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Jesse? How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you been?
Been a little bit under the weather, but
Oh, no.
I'm doing I'm doing a little bit better now. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the situation that the 49ers find themselves in. I mean, it's kind of a tough situation because, we can see what Brock Purdy can do. I think we need to really emphasize improving our offensive line wherever it might be. Whether I don't even know if Brendel's going to come back because he might be, a little bit too rich as far as getting under contract from somebody else. McGlinchey, that's kind of uncertain. Is he going to leave? And I don't know who they would plug in there, but I think that's whoever it is, whether it's Trey or Purdy, it's pretty obvious that we have to be better on our offensive line and defensive line if we want to compete against the Eagles. Because the Eagles, they're going to lose some guys, but either way, as long as they have Jalen Hurts and they still have the main core of guys, it's going to be pretty tough. So I don't know. What do you think as far as don't you think that this is Trey's best opportunity to really take the position and run with it and see what he can do? Because talent wise, I think to be able to compete with Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, those guys are not going away. And I think Trey gives us the ability to have a quarterback that's on their level. That's just my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think he gives you at least the hope
Yes.
that maybe he could get there. I mean, to get on that level, those guys are just it's a different level there. But he at least is a reflection of hope to get there potentially. We know that Jimmy's not that guy. I mean, say what you want about Brock Purdy, but physically he's not that guy either. Trey physically can be that guy, but a lot has to go right to get there. But I just want to see it, And Trey, I mean, yeah, I think Trey has an opportunity here to take over the job. I think if Trey does start this season, then he has an opportunity to put a stranglehold on the job, and that'll be up to him, And it sucks because he hasn't had a lot of playing time. There's a lot that he's going to have to prove and work through some of the kinks of not having playing time. But in a 49er uniform, it's now or never for Trey Lance. That's the situation we're in. That's where we're at. So yeah, he's got to take the bull by the horns here.
Yeah, and I think that Trey is going to come into a situation, especially now that we have McCaffrey. We have a couple, more weapons, and it makes it a little bit QB friendly for him. It's going to make it a little easier for him to develop. So I think that if Purdy, think about it. If Purdy, they say 6 months, if they're optimistic, but he's not going to be ready for the start of the season. It's going to have to be Trey. And we're just going to have to get another quarterback. Don't you think? Maybe, would you think about maybe, I don't know, Mariota, Jameis Winston, something like that? Or are those guys just not really a good backup?
No, I mean, I think they're fine backups. I'm gonna mute you when I'm talking. I'm getting some feedback. I think they're fine backups. I do. They're not my first choices. Mariota's cool. I like Mariota. I think there's some other guys, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the range that you want to be in. If Purdy's not, if free agency starts and Purdy still hasn't had a surgery, that's the range that you have to be in. You have to be in that. Those guys. Somebody says Davis Mills. I love that. You have to be in that caliber of player, because if Trey goes down and Purdy's not there, I mean, who are you going to turn to? It has to be somebody. So you want it to be somebody that's cheap. You want it to be somebody that's good. You want it to be an obvious backup. And I think both those guys probably fit the billing there for sure.
Heineke, maybe Heineke.
I love Heineke. I would love to have Heineke.
Yeah,
I think
they're pretty good.
You saw what Brock Purdy did in this offense. I have no doubt in my mind that Heineke could do the same things.
Yep. And he'd probably fit that right there, and we'd have a pretty solid QB room,
Yeah.
We just
I
don't
agree.
want to be left again, like that against the Eagles. I mean, that was just a disaster with Josh Johnson. That was just a disaster. And I think Heineke's an upgrade, way, way better than that. And I
It's
think
not
that's
even
what they have.
close.
Yeah.
It's not even close. If the drop off, if there's a drop off between Purdy and Heineke at this stage of their careers, it's not that big of a drop off.
How many years has Heineke been in the league? 3, 4?
3 or 4, yeah. I mean, he's older though. He's like 29, if I remember correctly. But he was kind of like a journeyman and then found his way back into the league. So
yeah. Well, I'll let you go, Jesse. Thank you very much for giving me a little bit of time, and you stay blessed and take care.
all right, bud. Bye. Thanks for calling in, man. Okay. What would it take to trade Brock Purdy? Probably 2 second-round picks. And I say 2 because one is going to have to be to draft a quarterback to replace him, somebody that I feel confident in. Also, like, I had Purdy as a 3rd-round grade coming out. So, like, for me, I know that he was Mr. Irrelevant, but I thought he was a 3rd-round talent. That's where I had him graded in the 2021 draft. Now, he stayed his senior year, and I was shocked to see how far he was dropping in mocks. I didn't know if that would hold true, but I had him as a 3rd-round talent the year prior. So that's kind of where I have him, and would have him in a draft. So a 2nd-round pick wouldn't be enough. I got to try to replace him, and so I'm doing that with a 2nd-round pick. And then the other 2nd-round pick, I'm going to get a player that could help me as well at a different position. So that's why I say it would have to be 2 2nd-round picks. And I'd probably rather have 2 seconds than even a first, because if I do a first, I'm not drafting a quarterback with that pick. And then I'm just out of a backup quarterback that can also win me games if he plays. So yeah, 2 2-second-round picks. For me, that's what it would be. Jesse, do you see us trading up, maybe into the 2nd, late 1st, if anything? I don't know if they have the assets to get into the late 1st. 2nd round, they'd have to trade quite a bit to get there, so no. I'll say this. I thought last year there would be some movement. They had a ton of picks. They didn't really move. I don't know if they moved at all, now that I think about it. So, I mean, maybe they don't have any movement and they just let the draft board kind of fall to them and take best player available. I think there's going to be something somewhere, but it won't. I don't think it'll be like to get into the 2nd or 1st. I don't think they have the assets to get into the 1st. And 2nd, it will take a lot of those picks. So yeah, I don't know. Somebody asked me a question that we talked about on yesterday's show, but I was going to answer it. See if I can find it. I don't know if I'll find it, and I want to give credit, but they asked what I thought about what Cassell said about Purdy. What Cassell said about Purdy and Trey, I think were both fair. So what he said about Trey was he has to see that Trey sees it quick enough, which is fair. I mean, we don't know the answer to that. And that's one thing that I've said about Trey Lance is he definitely reads the field. There's no issue going through his progressions, but he's hesitant. He's hesitant to pull the trigger sometimes. And that is a trait that'll, like, if you don't overcome that, like, that trait will always hold you back. That'll stop you from being a good quarterback in this league. So he has to figure that out. Now it's a small sample size. And that's kind of what Cassell was saying. He was saying, hey, listen, I haven't even necessarily seen this on film to be concerned about it, but I got to know that he can see it quick enough. I think that's totally fair. And what he said about Purdy was also totally fair. If you go watch those games down the stretch, there was a lot of dialed up open plays that he just passed up on for whatever reason. And he saw them. He saw the openings. He just didn't pull the trigger. Early on, he was pulling the trigger without fail. And that's what was great about Purdy. The average depth of target was never high, but when somebody was open, he was hitting it. And then it seemed like he got a little gun shy for whatever reason. I mean, there was that Seattle game in the first half where, they didn't put up a lot. And I'm trying to remember the exact plays, but there was a couple walk-in touchdowns he had, and he looked right at the player and was like, nope, I'm going to retreat out of the pocket and roll around and throw the ball away or do whatever. So, yeah, I mean, there was definitely some plays that he left on the field. And it is interesting because you would think a player would get better at that as they played more. But he actually regressed there. So I don't know. I'm not going to make the biggest deal in the world about it, but that's what Cassell said. And he said it in a way more eloquent way than I could have. And when I say it, I come off like a hater. But if I were to show you the film and the all 22, you would see what I saw. So yeah, I agree with him. Completely agree with him. On both fronts, actually. Let's see. You guys are arguing about Trey and and Purdy, I see. Actually, Jesse put out a tape and Trey was doing really well on, but he hasn't been hesitant. He has been hesitant. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. People misremember things. Like they forget how things actually went. And here's what happens. Over the long term, fans remember two things. They remember, was the game won or lost? Okay. And then they remember what the stats will tell them they remember. So if I can go look up the stats, whatever those stats say, and I know that they lost the game, equals quarterback played bad. That's the recollection that people have. But if you actually look at what happened throughout some of those games and a lot of those plays, it was not at all like that. If you look at that Bears game, Trey did a lot of really, really good things. His pocket presence was incredible. By far the best on the roster. And it's not even close. His ability to climb the pocket, keep his eyes down the field, shrug, a reaching arm from a defensive end, keep both hands on the ball, eyes down the field, step up, step up, step up. I mean, that was not Trey Lance year one. Trey Lance year one was like happy feet, running around, doing stupid stuff, not looking comfortable. Trey Lance year two was very comfortable in the pocket. You saw it in the preseason games, and then you saw it again in the Bears game. That was not the same player from a pocket presence standpoint at all. Not even close to the same player. So, I mean, again, people will remember they lost. They go see the completion percentage and the stats and completely forget that it was a monsoon and Justin Fields didn't look good either. and now they remember that, you know, Trey was god awful. So that's the reality of the situation, but that's not actually what happened. So anyways, let's see. What else? Anything good? He did. Yeah, he missed Croft. Was it Croft down the sideline? But he also made 4 elite throws in that game that I can think of. One was Jennings down the left sideline. One was Ayuk on a deep out, far hash to sideline, both in heavy rain. One was to Ray on the crossing concept, the deep dig, where he layered it over 2 defenders. What was the fourth one? Oh no, the fourth one was a play. It wasn't a pass. It was the 3rd and 13 first down run. So he had 4 elite plays in that game that I can remember off the top of my head. So yeah, he definitely did miss. And even though it was raining, there was no excuse for that, for sure. And that's something he's got to hit. But if you look at the short sample size and his accuracy rate on throws over 30 yards, very accurate on throws over 30 yards. So I would say that was the exception, not the rule. And it definitely wasn't Kittle because he's only played 1 game with Kittle. So, but yeah, those were the 4 plays that were pretty damn elite, actually, especially when you factor in the rain. But see, nobody remembers those plays. People don't remember those plays. So there you go. That's what it is. Hey, you came over from Aaron's stream. Glad to see you're over here. All right, y'all. Listen, that's a night for me. I'm shot. It's about 2.5, 3 hours of streaming for me. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll be back soon. Peace.